If we ever had an idea that we wanted to integrate, he was definitely the person to ask first because the game would not exist without Bryant.
Like, how are we gonna do this thing? I think we might have to cut it. And then 2 days later, he's like, I just did it. Like, don't even worry about it.
Bryant's sort of the one-man army.
Yeah, he really is.
I'm Bryant Cannon, and I am the lead engineer at Night School Studio. So I write all the code.
The first conversation we had, he's always wanted to make an adventure game like this.
Sean came to me and was just like, I'm going to make a game. It's going to be basically Sword and Sorcery meets Limbo meets The Walking Dead, which are 3 of my favorite indie games of the last 5 years. So I was like, yeah, of course I'll do that.
You know, if stories are brought about through communication, can we make communication the key mechanic? It starts with the fact that you can move freely and that your dialogue choices are, spawning directly from your character. That makes its way even into the radio and how you use the radio. Like if talking with your words is how you communicate with the other humans, the way you communicate with these supernatural beings is via this radio. And can we make that fun? Like, had that not been cool or fun or interesting, we would have made a different game.
What if it isn't? What if they just said it was decommissioned?
I think if they had alien autopsies or whatever you're suggesting is happening in there, we'd have been taken out by snipers about 50.
Games for me is like family almost.
I was a big fan of all the Zelda games.
That was kind of like how I grew up, was just playing games with my brothers.
I always made my own fan fictions for those worlds and stuff like that. So to go and make your own world is just, it's really awesome. So I had designed games since elementary school, just on paper in class. I'd be doing that instead of doing my math assignment and whatnot. But in high school, I taught myself how to program so I can make games. I actually went to Best Buy. I was like, I want to make games. What can I use to make games? And they're like, oh, you can use this new program called C++, which is actually a programming language. It has technically nothing to do with games. So I was like, oh great, I'm going to buy these books on C++ and I'm going to get the C++ program and everything. And then I read through the entire C++ book front to back. I was like, but I don't know, I still don't know how to put an image on the screen even. It just taught me the basics of C++.
God, even when the craziest crap is swirling around like a friggin' poop tempest, she still finds a way to be annoying.
Well, that's a skill, at least.
So our main job for this game was to basically get the game built to the point where you can play it and get a good idea of how the game's feeling.
Taking all the stuff that Bryant has done and taking all the beautiful art that Heather's created and taking all that amazing writing that Adam has created and putting it into something that somebody can actually hit start on and play.
Do not attempt restart without supervision. So I don't know.
Terrific, you'll be my supervisor. Supervisor Jonas.
None of us, including me, have ever made this much of a content-based game before.
So it was just tough knowing that the player could basically do whatever they wanted.
The amount of stuff we were trying to get in this game and figuring out how technically we'd be able to do that. Heather would give it to us, Bryant would give it to us, and we had to compile everything. And we had these 100-page scripts. Keeping
track of 12,000 lines of dialogue was very, very challenging.
Each and every line has an animation that is sort of custom assigned to what those characters are saying.
When I think of one conversation in the game, I think of 1,000 sticky notes for one conversation between 2 characters with strings between them.
Bryant's basically the user manual for our engine. We do use Unity, but he's built so many custom tools in it.
Designers don't have to write any code. All they have to do is go to a drop-down list and say, character says this line, and then they connect it to another node that says character says this line. And then there's a choice, and then based on that choice, you just connect it. It's all visual. So that way we're able to quickly prototype different conversations instead of having to code all that stuff by hand every time.
I am constantly surprised with how many times I'll ask Bryant what he's doing. It's something that sounds like it's in another language, and then he's like, oh yeah, and I've never done this before, and only 5 people are on the internet talking about it. But that is Bryant's life a lot of days, where he is just on an internet forum learning how to do something that maybe 10 people in the world know how to do.
Photography prohibited.
That is a very serious sign. Restricted, keep out. Now they're not messing around.
Nobody cares anymore.
One thing that's been great about working here is you are literally turning around and looking at your boss in the eye and seeing the excitement they both have for this project. It always makes you want to push like harder and harder every day, making Bryant's hours and hours of building stuff for us like worth it.
Kevin has a schedule of freak out on Monday, he's relaxed on Tuesday,
Say something crazy by
on
Wednesday.
Wednesday, Thursday we somehow get it in, and Friday it's all broken.
It's a good arc.
We once had a mall Santa who was kidnapping kids. I think that's been so far the scariest thing that's happened.
Well, I mean, to be fair, that does sound pretty scary.
I think the most rewarding thing about making games is seeing other people play your game.
It's really interesting to actually watch people play through and see how it challenges them as the person that they are.
In fact, we had one reporter come over to our studio, and she was supposed to be there, I think, for 30 minutes or something. And she stayed for an hour and a half and just got lost in the game.
In games, it just demands such an intense level of audience participation. You know, if you fall asleep in a movie, the movie's going to happily reach its conclusion, but you have to pick up a controller and play a game. You have to be the character. It's potentially a lot more powerful in being able to make you feel like you are this character.
Getting that feedback of people not only really loving it, but being like, I can't wait to play this again, I can't wait to finish this, I can't wait to see how it ends, I can't wait, I can't keep playing, I'm too scared. And me and Spencer turned to each other like, I didn't even know that was possible. Like,
We were pretty sure Sean just like hired people to come in and make everybody feel okay about everything.
I hope that people have a good time hanging out with these characters. And
Bryant inevitably always has like a buffer time. I just assume he has like 50 other things that he's processing at that one moment, and then you're like, Bryant, how do we fix this? And he'll just stand there. And I'm never sure if he heard the question or not. I think I would just shut down if I was Bryant, so he's a way stronger person than I am, and definitely way smarter. You can cut that though, don't tell him that.